Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
We are all WWE fans here. It's why we're here, listening to this show and spending inordinate amounts of hours consuming, complaining, and just generally eating, sleeping, and breathing professional wrestling. But if you want to take that to the next level, the only place to do it is WrestleMania 35 in the city so nice that they named it twice, New York. And our new friends at All Aussie Travelers are going to help you make that happen in the best way possible. They are new to the wrestling travel game, granted, but they have over 15 years experience in sports and event tours between the US and Australia, so you know you're in good hands. They want to offer you an exclusive WrestleMania package, including return flights to the USA, 6 nights at the New Yorker hotel right next to Times Square. And the thing that sets these packages apart are the VIP suites that AAT have secured for WrestleMania. So that's, of course, the Raw after WrestleMania. So not only are you going to go to the Hall of Fame, not only are you going to go to WrestleMania 35, but for NXT TakeOver, SmackDown Live, and the Raw immediately after WrestleMania that next night, you are going to be in an exclusive VIP suite that is not normally available to the public. But AAT, they got it locked down. They got it waiting for you with your name on it. You're in private entrance, you're in private toilets and bar, as well as an unparalleled view in the most comfortable seats in the house. You can experience WrestleMania weekend like never before, all at really competitive prices. So head over to All Aussie Travelers on Facebook, hit that like button, send them a message, send an email to Jack, that's JAAK, at allaussie.com.au, and let them know the B Plus sent you. Sorry to interrupt the podcast, B Plus players, but I just need to take a second to tell you about Threadbox. Threadbox is a subscription service for men that makes looking good easier than ever before. Just fill out a few questions to start building your style profile, and from there you will be paired with a stylist who will send you new threads once a month, so you don't have to worry about checking the stores and finding new clothes. It's like having a personal shopper and stylist at your fingertips, and you just sit back, relax, wait for your awesome new gear to arrive in the mail. They sent me a box this month. I got a new pair of jeans. I got 2 shirts. You can check out the unboxing video on the Facebook page. And the best part about it is you can get in touch with your stylist by email at any time. So if you need new singlets, if you need new long sleeves, if you need new shoes, if there's something specific you want, you just let them know what you need and they'll tailor the box to your specific requests. It's a completely personalized service available on any budget. You'll always get way more value than you pay for because Threadbox work with all the best brands. Boxes start from just $40, and if you use our code, the B+15 at checkout today, you're going to get 15% off your first box. So what are you waiting for, man? Like, if you want to look better with less effort, head to threadbox.com.au and use the code the B+15 to get your box today.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Hold one, Andre.
You're not good at this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
Oh my God!
Sorry, no speak English.
Tell me.
Goodbye and good night.
Hold two, on bar.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Tell me.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
Hold three, Lamas covered, three-handle family Gradunzo.
Mamma mia!
And now, Unchained.media presents the B Plus Podcast with your host, Greg Unchained.
It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
Number 4, armbar.
I will never retire!
I still got 200 more. I got 200 more holes to lift.
All right, ladies, gents, and non-binary friends, welcome to another B Plus podcast. I'm your host, Greg Unchained. Today is Monday. You know what that means. It's time for the Impact Zone. And once again this week, I am flying solo and wondering why I'm here. But I'm here for you people. I put myself through watching this week's Impact so that you don't have to. This week's Impact wasn't too bad, I suppose. In terms of in-ring action, Impact generally tends to be pretty good, but the real issue is the stories and the booking, and it's just not where it was. It's not where it was a year ago. Let's start with a bit of news, though, shall we? So, first up, we've gotten word about the upcoming pay-per-view schedule for Impact. So, Rebellion is the next pay-per-view. They've got United We Stand, which is happening on WrestleMania weekend in New York City, but that's a joint show with Lucha Underground. They also have Rebellion is the upcoming pay-per-view on April 28th. After that, though, beyond that, we found out that they are going to have Slammiversary on July 7. No location announced, but Slammiversary will happen on July 7, and Bound for Glory on October 13. So, hopefully things get better by Slammiversary, because Slammiversary last year was definitely the Impact pay-per-view of the year, but it was up there, man. It was one of the best pay-per-views of the year, so, we wanted to pick up their game. Scott D'Amore showed up recently at a Destiny Wrestling event in Canada, Destiny Wrestling Cross Blackcraft Wrestling, and he offered a contract to Josh Alexander. A 3-year deal was offered right there in the ring in front of the entire crowd. I don't know, is this their answer to All Elite showing up at shows? I don't know what this is. It seems like a weird thing to do, but, it's what happened, and Josh Alexander's coming to Impact for 3 years, I suppose. So he's no longer the hottest unsigned. He wasn't the hottest unsigned guy, but that's what they said on the Twitter. So, marketing. He's been around for a long time, though. He's been around he's been wrestling since the mid 2000s. He's been around. He's been in matches with the Bucks. He's been in matches with pretty much everyone on the Indies. So he's an indie star, and he's coming to Impact. So Impact is still a player, I suppose. At least that's how they want us to see them. They definitely want us to still see them as a player. They're out there. They're signing people to deals, which they need to because people are leaving left and right. But in better news, Pop TV executive has gone on the record as saying that it wasn't ratings or anything that had Impact leave the network. It was just a matter of rebranding. They wanted to focus on their core market, and their core market weren't the wrestling fans, and the wrestling fans weren't their core market. And we know this about wrestling fans. Wrestling fans go to where wrestling is, but they don't necessarily stick around, right? So they'll go to a channel like Pop, or they'll go to a channel like Sci-Fi when ECW was on Sci-Fi, and they'll watch the wrestling, and then they'll leave. They won't stick around to watch any of the other shows, which is what people hope for when they bring wrestling on, when they're already a niche. Like CW had SmackDown on it once upon a time, right? And they left. They had SmackDown leave for the same reason, was because it's a niche network, and they thought, let's put this program on that's outside our niche, and people will come in, and then they'll stay in our niche once they get here. And it never happened. Wrestling fans don't do that. Wrestling fans follow the wrestling where it goes, and that's all they're interested in. So it makes sense that this is the reason for Pop TV. So apparently, when they left Pop TV, they were still getting 400, 500,000 viewers each week, which makes the new Pursuit channel deal, it's awful, because they're getting less than 20,000 combined online and TV from what we can tell. So not a good move for them going from Pop TV, but it wasn't up to them, and they're making the best of what they've got. So, it is what it is. Let's take a look at this week's Impact on Pursuit. Johnny Impact starts the show, the namesake of the show. He starts the show, says that he's been a fighting champ. He hasn't, because when he was a kid, that's what he wanted to see. He says that last week at Uncaged, he shut not one, not two, but 3 mouths. He shut them up good. And now he's on to the next challenge. So Moose comes out, and Moose was one of the previous challengers, so not really much of a next challenge. Moose says that Johnny Impact is actually the worst champion that Impact has ever had, and he says that he would be the champion if it weren't for Brian Cage, that damn meddling kid, and his dog too. Killer Cross comes out, gets in Moose's face for being a traitor, tells Cross that it's his turn to be Impact champion. They start bickering back and forth, and Impact is like, look, I get it. You both think you're A+ talent, but only one of you can be an A+ talent. The other one is, I presume, B+. Like, that's where the mind goes. And B+ is a good thing, as you will hear in my interview with Lockie Hendricks whenever that comes out. I think it's next week it's coming out, so stay tuned for that, people. He rips me a new one, and it's way more interesting than Impact. A+ talent, B+ talent. He tells them only one of them can be A+, so he makes a match between the two for the number 1 contendership, and that's going to happen right now. Cross vs. Moose, Impact on commentary. He's saying, I'm the champion, I call the shots. He doesn't sound like a face. He's meant to be this babyface fighting champion, and they keep putting him over as such. but he's not. And he doesn't sound like one in the way he talks. He doesn't act like one in the way he acts. So I don't know who they're trying to fool. It's a really, really odd gimmick that they're working with Johnny Impact. But he ends up, ultimately, they brawl at ringside. Cross and Moose brawl at ringside. And Killer Cross throws Don Callis's hot coffee into Johnny Impact's face. Because that's what a killer does, you see. He uses coffee as a weapon. And he throws that into Johnny Impact's face, which pisses Impact off. He gets in the ring, leading to a no contest because he attacks both men. And they then decide to team up, do Killer Cross and Moose, start working together. They take down Johnny Impact, and then out comes Brian Cage, and Brian Cage comes out. He works with Impact now and saves Impact from a beatdown, and they send the dastardly heels packing. Cage picks up the belt and hands it to Johnny Impact in a show of respect. Why? Why is Cage helping Impact? Impact stole the match from him last week. This doesn't make sense. This makes less than 0 sense. This makes negative sense. It's so confusing. Why would he do this? Man, they're killing Brian Cage, man. Brian Cage is one of my favorite wrestlers. I'm not a fan of the creative here. The guys are just doing what they're told, right? But at some point, it's bad. Then we hear that Don Callis has hired Glenn Gilberti, Disco Inferno, the artist formerly known as. Okay, random. We see Conan talking to LAX. He's got them one more match with Lucha Brothers. They're going to try to win back their titles, but win, lose, or draw. He wants them to shake hands after the match, win, lose, or draw. So we're still playing up that angle with LAX and Lucha Brothers. And do we really need a third match in, 5 weeks? I guess we do, apparently. Then we move on, and it feels like WWE. It feels like we're just repeating matches. But I guess that's what happens when all your people are leaving to go elsewhere. It's kind of not their fault in this instance. We cut backstage again. Brian Cage is chilling, and Johnny Impact comes over and says, look, I know you want a title shot, but there's no way. Here he is making excuses again. Real fighting champion he is. There's no way we can have a clean match as long as Killer Cross and Moose are still walking around. They won't leave us alone. I mean, look, from what I saw earlier, Johnny Impact, you weren't giving Brian Cage a shot. You were giving Killer Cross and Moose a shot at being number one contender, right? When it was Brian Cage last week who had the match won. It was Brian Cage who won the match for you. It made 0 sense. But you set up these other two as the number one contenders. You're playing mind games here. You are a heel. You are a bad dude. You are the heel here. You are not doing the fighting champion thing. You have the two heels come out and you're like, I'm going to give you guys a number one contendership match. You guys get to face each other. But then you finish that match in a schmoz so that there's no number one contender for your title. So then you go up to the guy that should be the challenger to begin with. The guy that you're ducking and dodging at every opportunity you get. And you're like, look, our number one, our match, our one-on-one match that we should be having, it's never going to happen with these other two guys around. The two guys that I was giving the shot to and not you. It's never going to happen with them around because they're so dastardly. But I'll give you a shot if you help me take care of these other two guys. Like, how slimy can you be? How is this a babyface champion? He is so slimy. He is so slippery. He is so disgusting. He is the bad guy. If he is the bad guy, this is brilliant. But he's not being presented as a bad guy. I mean, Cage was like, yeah, man, look, we're friends and all, but I can't trust you with this. And then, so Johnny Impact gives him a contract. He's like, no, here's a contract. You just got to sign that. Guaranteed, you get a shot if you help me take care of them. I bet there's a fucking clause in there where if Johnny Impact gets the pin, then he doesn't have to give the match to Brian Cage at all. There's probably something in there, some lawyer shit that's going to stop this from happening. He's so slimy. He is the bad guy. I don't understand what this is. Anyway, it's bad storytelling is what it is to me. Unless it's so good and I'm just getting so worked by it. I don't even know at this point. Then we get a flashback to the last year's show with Lucha Underground because they're going to start pushing this United We Stand show. That was a good show. It was the show that got me back into Impact Wrestling, so well worth checking out. Then we get a Rascals promo where they're getting high again. Wentz is going to face Ethan Page. Dez and Trey are going to team up this time against Desi Hit Squad because reasons. Garma Singh comes in and offers them a hookah instead, and he says, this is the good shit, this is the real shit, and then they fall asleep from it, And Garma goes on a rant about how real men used to do this for 23 hours. Okay. Then we get a promo video for Reno Scum. They're returning next week. Cool. More people coming back. We need more people. So, it is what it is. Reno Scum don't seem like that big of a deal, but better than not having any tag teams. So, with Lucha Brothers about to depart, we assume, you definitely need to bolster those ranks. So we need another couple of tag teams coming in to fill the holes. And then we get the tag match that we were promised earlier. Rascals taking on Desi Hit Squad. Again, this time around, Trey picks up the win with the Meteor and knee drop. Even when he's in the tag team matches, he's the one picking up wins. He's the only one Impact care about. We've talked about this a few times now. We move on, and Eli Drake is being interviewed by Melissa Santos. He says that you don't raise your hand to Eli Drake. It's the third commandment in the book of Eli Drake. I want to know what the other two are. But Eddie raised his hand to him, so now he's going to show Eddie how hardcore makes him an absolute loser. We get another shot of Rich Swann, this time in a hospital bed. It looks suspiciously similar to the mental home that Eddie Edwards was in for a while, but I digress. Rich Swann is in hospital. Sami Callihan shows up, and he's apologizing. He's saying he's sorry. He did what he did because he loves Rich Swann. He says he's not mad. It takes balls to stand up to Sami Callihan, and I'm your big brother. He says, and he tells him again, step up, come home, do the right thing. The nurse comes in and says, hey, this is for family only. Obviously assuming they're not family because one is black and one is white. That's the assumption there. This is for family only. And Swann's like, hey, he is my family. And then Sami Callihan puts the shirt on the bed and we close out the scene. So this is interesting. I will give them this. This is interesting. So we've finally had forward movement in this story after weeks and weeks of treading water. And now that we've had that forward movement, I'm enjoying this again, right? Sami Callihan, Rich Swann, this could be really good. If this is a slow burn for Rich Swann to actually accept, as opposed to knock it back, and it goes the way that we discussed on Red Leaf Retrocast when I was a guest on that with Bowling JD on Twitter. If you go to Red Leaf Retrocast, I think it was episode 24, you can listen to that. He speculated, and I was like, I'm a fan of that booking. He speculated this was a slow burn heel turn for Rich Swann, in which case I can get on board with that because it gives Willie Mack something to do with the X Division champion after being betrayed by his brother. It'll be good. But if that's not what it is, and he's still going to reject the call to join OVE, then why did we do more of this? I don't understand. They just like to repeat matches and tread water. So it could go either way. It could be the former, in which case good, or it could be more of that treading water, like Desi Hit Squad vs. Rascals, like Cross and Moose, like LAX and Lucha Brothers is becoming, but we'll get there. After that little backstage bit, we do see Eli Drake and Eddie Edwards. They have a good match. These two have really good chemistry, really good back and forth. When they get into all the near finishes and everything, it's fantastic. Eddie picks up the win with a roll through jackknife after, after Eli Drake is distracted by, considering using Kenny. And Eddie picks up the win with that jackknife pin. A wrestling move, right? A wrestling move, and Eli deciding whether or not he should be hardcore. It's pretty cool. This is a good story. I like what they're doing here, and it's moving forward enough each time we see it that it's not suffering from the same treading water syndrome that the others are. So that was good. We then get an investigative reporter backstage asking Tessa Blanchard what happened as she leaves the office, and she says the office won't give her a title shot because they're pissed off about what she did to Gail Kim, and they only care about protecting their girl, Gail Kim. And Tessa promises that one way or another she's going to get her rematch. Fast forward, we get Alicia Edwards and Delilah Doom one-on-one. Oh no, first before that we had Glenn Gilberti. Glenn Gilberti shows up. He's looking for management himself. He's looking for the office. And the security guy gives him instructions, but those instructions take him outside where he ends up locked out of the building. I have no idea what they're doing here. Alicia Edwards and Delilah Doom have a match. It's Delilah Doom's debut, so we assume she's going to win. But here comes Tessa. Tessa has other ideas. She attacks them both, beats the crap out of Delilah Doom. After the match, Delilah Doom gets a promo backstage challenging Tessa to a match. This was fun. I like this, and the match will ultimately lead to Tessa winning again, and it'll be good. Delilah Doom's pretty good, so I'm looking forward to this.
We then get a little video package of Impact announcing their partnership with the NFL Alumni Association, all about helping local communities together. It's pretty cool. It's good PR. Doesn't cost them anything except for, superstar time, which is pretty awesome. And, it's good to have them doing that kind of thing. And if they're getting paid good money already anyway, you can take a few hours, to go and do some charity events. This is nothing but good, nothing but upside with this NFL alumni deal. Then we get James Mitchell talking to Rosemary. We're back to the supernatural stuff with Ali. So Rosemary says that Ali belongs to the shadow, and Rosemary proposes they come to some kind of deal. James Mitchell, he has a deal in mind. He says he wants Rosemary on his side, right? So Rosemary must assemble her dark army against theirs, and if she wins, she gets Ali. If they win, they get Rosemary. I didn't realize James Mitchell was at the head of this whole thing. I thought Su Yung was, but I guess Su Young's just a puppet. Makes sense. Who's the puppet master? Who's pulling the strings of the puppet master? This goes higher than James Mitchell. This goes all the way to the top, or the bottom, to Satan, potentially. I don't know. But it's Cain. It's Cain. Cain did it. This is the devil's favorite demon, right? He's pulling the strings from his governor's office in Knox County. Can you tell I'm bored with Impact at all? Can you tell? I don't know. Anyway, Melissa Santos is talking to Taya about Tessa. Tessa says she won't respond because you don't respond to children throwing tantrums. Yeah, this is true. You're also still a heel. United We Stand gets hyped. It's coming up. It's live on Fight TV. Rob Van Dam and Sabu are taking on the Lucha Brothers. Jake Christ is taking on Cotto Brazil and Jack Evans in an Ultimate X match. That will be a good match. And then we get the main event. But before I go to the main event, I do want to talk about United We Stand. There was news came out this week that it was hyped on Twitter or online that Eli Drake and Tessa Blanchard were going to have a one-on-one intergender special attraction match. But then on Twitter, Eli sort of responded to it just being like, I love Tessa. I respect her greatly. She's one of the best women in wrestling in the world. But I am not having a one-on-one intergender match. And that match hasn't been advertised on TV. So, I mean, come on, Eli. Well, why won't you have an intergender match? It ruins the immersion. Come on. It ruins the immersion. 2 segments ago, Rosemary and James Mitchell were making a deal over someone's soul to rescue her soul from a shadow because they live in the underworld. And you want to tell me that it ruins the immersion to have a man fight a woman? Come on, dude. Grow a pair. The real reason you don't want to face Tessa Blanchard is because you'll lose, because she's the golden girl. She's the golden girl of the company, and you know you're going to get booked to lose, so you don't want to do the match. It's okay. You can admit it. You can admit that you would feel emasculated losing to a woman, but it's fantasy, brother. It's fantasy. I don't know. I just thought that was funny that they were like, yeah, we're doing an intergender special attraction match, and Eli Drake's, nope. No, we aren't. I'm not doing that. Dummy. Yeah. Anyway, then we get the main event, Lucha Brothers and LAX 3. I believe this is 3. I'm losing count. This is a pretty good match. Not as good as the other two. It was a bit shorter. Maybe I'd put it on par with the second, but definitely not as good as the first. In the end, the Lucha Brothers pick up the win with the spiked Fear Factor, clean as a whistle, 1, 2, 3, middle of the ring. And then LAX try the respectful finish. They try to shake hands, as Conan wanted them to do. But the Lucha Brothers do their taunts, Animo with the diamond thing, Cero Miedo with the forehead they get in their faces, and then that pushes LAX over the line. LAX attack, rip off their masks, and they stand tall over a maskless tag team champion, Lucha Brothers, as we go off the air, and that's Impact this week. Overall, it was a pretty good show. Definitely not the best show, definitely not the worst show. There's some bits that have you banging your head against the wall. The main event scene, the tag team scene is more the main event scene than the main event scene. The main event scene is awful. All the Johnny Impact, Killer Cross, Moose, and Brian Cage stuff is awful. Johnny Impact is a terrible champion. He's a terrible babyface. The booking is awful. The writing is awful. Not a fan. Glenn Gilberti, what's that about? I don't know. Who cares? Eli Drake, Eddie Edwards was a highlight for this show, definitely, even though Eli Drake is a misogynist and won't wrestle a woman. I don't really think he's a misogynist. It's just the easy thing to say. The Rascals are still fighting Desi Hit Squad over and over again because I guess they're the only 2 fucking teams in the division other than the champs and LAX. LAX and Lucha Brothers are fighting each other again for the 3rd time in like 5 weeks. like I said, treading water, man. You're feeling like WWE. You just, I mean, it's worse when WWE does it because WWE have an infinite amount of talent. You guys have a limited talent pool, so it makes sense that you kind of have to repeat matches from time to time, but just do it more creatively. You know, I don't care about any of these matchups at this point because they just keep happening, and it's boring. It's boring. At least the next Su Yung, Ali, Rosemary, Kiera, Hogan tag, all that stuff. At least the next one will have a little bit more depth to it because we know that we're building to this, you know, big 4-on-4 Dark Army match, or 5-on-5 or 3-on-3 or whatever it's going to be, this Dark Army match. So, you know, you got to give us something to care about the next match before you just give us the next match. And they haven't been doing that. But overall, I'm still hopeful. There are still, the pieces are still there. Impact just need to put them in the right order, and it's going to be an amazing picture here. But I do worry with everything that's going on that Impact won't make it out of 2020, and I worry that this Impact Zone podcast won't make it to 20 minutes because there's just not much to talk about. So I'm going to call it a day here. If you want to follow me on the social media, I am at Greg Unchained on Twitter, at the Greg Unchained on Instagram. We collectively are the B Plus Wrestle on Twitter because wrestling wouldn't fit at B Plus Wrestling everywhere else. If you do like what we do and you want to get around it, you want to support us, patreon.com/the B Plus is the best way to do it. That's where you'll get to tell us what to do. You can become a super producer. You can get on the call-in shows, which are really fun. We had another call-in show drop yesterday. You can get around all the cool rewards, get on the Discord, have some chats with us. It's a really fun time. Other ways to support us, of course, the Muscle Hustle app. Put in the code the B Plus, let them know we sent you. The link is in the show notes. If you want to download that app to your phone, the link is just below in the show notes. Of course, all Aussie travelers, if you're looking to go to WrestleMania, they're the guys to hit up. Threadbox, if you want to look good at WrestleMania, or just in general, not at WrestleMania, if you just want to look good walking down the street, Threadbox have got you covered. Enter the code the B Plus 15. You would have heard the ads earlier, but I'm repeating it here because I want you guys to get around our sponsors, because that you help them, that helps us, it helps you, everyone wins. It's a win-win-win. Like, share, subscribe, 5-star review if you like what we do. And thank you so much for listening.
Hold one. Arm drag.
You're not doing this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
Sorry, no speak English.
Dummy. Goodbye and good night. Hold two. Arm bar.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
It's still real to me, damn it. Dummy. Hold three. The moss covered.